Right.
Ray, I did think it was a great night as well. One fight we didn't get to see, Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson, obviously mass disappointment across the sport. Now, 95% of fighters like this early weigh-in, right? One of the guys I can tell you who doesn't like it is the UFC light heavyweight champion and Nurmagomedov's teammate Daniel Cormier, because he doesn't like having to sleep dehydrated, or sleep close to weight, and then you got to wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning and make weight. Most guys love it because Friday now they get to eat and then they get to enjoy themselves and rehydrate and have more hours to sort of get their body back to a more natural weight. But in your personal experience, I mean, if you have a guy who wakes up 5.5, 6 pounds off and he's having kidney or liver pain, or I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that, but I guess your thoughts on what Nurmagomedov might have been going through and ultimately his team's decision to, instead of calling the UFC's doctor, Dr. Jeff Davidson, just taking him emergently to the hospital.
Yeah, I don't think I know enough about it, but he's been there before. He's done the early weigh-in. Didn't he just do it a couple of months ago? So he's not unfamiliar with that. I think that was a major communication breakdown between whoever was supposed to be in charge of that. I mean, he had to have somebody in charge of that knew. And I think the interesting thing is when Ferguson looked at him at that press conference, the last one, he said, "Good luck with the weight." Like, he knew it was a problem. I mean, right. So he mismanaged something, and you never know what's going on, man. If a guy's not cycling right or he's doing something that's wrong, your body's not going to let you get rid of that weight. It's looking to put weight on. It could be a million things, but that's a major, major fuck up. And that he's done this way too many times, man, and I would imagine that guy could power through anything. He seems like a nice guy. I mean, the guy wrestled a bear. I mean, he could. I got a kid from the Republic of Georgia that, that guy's going to make weight, whether he has to kill himself, and he's going to come and fight his ass off. So right. These guys know what the deal is. I'm saying Khabib is super mentally strong. He fucked that up. Somebody fucked it up because that's, and I don't think it's the early weigh-in. I mean, everybody, they've been doing it for a while. My guys seem to like it, so I don't know. But, DC's been cutting weight his whole life, and he's got a good perspective on that. But yeah, that's a major fuck up. I was so looking forward to that damn fight. I think I'm just pissed off anyway. I really wanted to see that fight bad.
Well, when Kenny Florian is cutting weight in Houston for his title fight with Jose Aldo, I mean, you don't think that his brother Keith wanted to rip him out of the sauna and take him to the hospital, right? I mean, like, Kenny, hospital probably sounded really good on that Friday morning.
Man, it's funny. My kidneys were hurting. My kidneys, my liver, everything was hurting. But it's one of those things. You're just like, I just got to make weight. I got to push through. And for certain people, for Khabib, he's getting a little bit older now too. I mean, he's not a 21-year-old kid. So, that weight cut's getting a little bit more difficult. Sometimes you think the weight cut's always going to be the same. It's not. I think rarely is a weight cut ever the same. Your body maybe sometimes just pushes back on you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Khabib, that's what happened.
But you have 8 weeks to periodize that and
You're right.
look at it every week and see where your levels are at. And if you have a guy that's really involved with the camp, they know exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? That's where I'm having the problem. This guy did something where he waited to the last minute, I think. And, again, we don't even know. And the fact that he didn't call the UFC doctor is just weird to me. Weird.
Yeah, I talked to Dr. D at length about it. He felt it was weird, too, and felt like potentially he could have helped and just wasn't given the opportunity to do so. All right, Ray, one more minute with you. We'll get you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that to me it seems like that means he was hiding something that he didn't want somebody in the UFC to know. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it, because there's no other reason. You have medical people all over the place that are willing to help you.
Right. All right, we will get you out of here on this. John Vellante, Shogun Rua, co-main event Saturday night from Fortaleza, Brazil. I know John is already well on his way. Your thoughts on this massive spot for Vellante this weekend?
Look, I'm a big Vellante fan. I love the kid. I know he's going to do it, but it's a big opportunity. I tried to explain to him, it's a huge opportunity. A win over him puts you right where you want to be. So I think he had good training. I saw some of the things he was doing. He brought in Stipe. He had a couple other heavyweight boxers he was working with. I think he's ready to go.
Well, we look forward to it on Saturday night, man. Thank you for the time as always. We'll hit you up again next Monday, sir.
All right, guys. And again, great job in the booth, man. I really enjoyed the commentating. I thought it was a great, that whole combination was fantastic.
Thank you, man. You see how handsome Kenfo looked on that desk, though? My God.
Look, that goes without saying. We don't ever have to bring that up. The guy's always handsome. That's just the way it is for right now. So we don't even have to repeat that again.
All right, that's good. Rэй Longgo,
right.
thanks. Jack, we'll start with you here. Biggest fight of Volante's career by a mile, taking on Shogun Rua. He'll do so on the road. Who do you think will be the betting favorite once the odds are released, and ultimately which way you going?
Yeah, well, I'm sort of grateful that the odds aren't out on this one, so I can't be accused of just tooling off the favorites and taking the easy road here. Although I'm not above doing that, but this does not allow me to, which I appreciate that opportunity. I think I think Shogun will come in as the favorite. I think Volante is a bit too porous in terms of how he tries to close up with opponents that he puts in trouble, and I think he can put Shogun in trouble with landing some leather early on. But I think Shogun's left hand is just as potent as it's ever been. It's always there for him against elite competition. And he has a very sneaky ability to switch it up and take guys down if he's not having success with his initial standing strategy. We saw that against Little Nog, for instance, most recently, how he kind of switched it up when things weren't going his way in the feet and Nog was outboxing him. I don't even think Volante can outbox him. In fact, I think Volante is going to find himself in a tough spot very early on and hesitant. And when he's hesitant, Shogun's going to be able to place the left hand. He's going to be able to put kicks out there on a consistent basis. I do like Shogun over 15 minutes and maybe even a knockout like we saw with Volante against Tom Lawler.
All right, so Shogun Rua for Jack Encarnacio. Interesting fight here, Kenny. John Volante defensively, I think, was disappointed in his last effort back in Albany against the newcomer Saperbek Safarov. He absorbed a lot of damage before ultimately getting the win that night. That came after unanimous decision loss to Alir Latifi. He absorbed some damage that night as well. Jack thinks Shogun's going to be the favorite here. I tend to agree. Who do you think gets it done here Saturday night?
Well, it's tough because both these guys have been pretty consistent, even in their, wins. So it's tough of how they look. I'm going to go with the younger guy. I'm going to go with Volante. I think Shogun has a lot of miles on him right now. And I agree with Jack that he still has power. Last thing to go is going to be the power. But I think Shogun's much slower than he's been. I think he has a lot of injuries that he's dealt with over the last 10 years or so. I'm going to go with the younger guy here. I think Volante can knock him out. I assume we'll probably go to decision, but I'm going to go with John Volante.
Have you guys seen John Volante making these cameos on Bravo? They have this Real Housewives show, and then I guess the Watch What Happens Live is sort of like a bar scene. Dude, he's been the bartender on Watch What Happens Live twice now, Ken Flo.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I got to check this out.
Yeah,
he's a good dude, man. Entertaining guy.
Yeah, he is, and obviously a big spot for him. Does have a win over Corey Anderson, but few wins would be bigger than going to Brazil and taking out a former champion in Shogun Rua. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll update the betting line on Twitter here during fight week, and ultimately we'll see if you guys maybe get an extra point if you had the underdog. But right now you are split on Rua and Volante. Kelvin Gastelum, Vitor Belfort, main event. Gastelum at minus 375. Big number there, but given what he did to Tim Kennedy back in December, I think you can argue that he deserves that distinction. Vitor Belfort plus 305. You know how dangerous he still can be early. We'll start with you, Jack. Gastelum, prohibitive favorite here against Vitor Belfort. Who wins will also need a round and a method of victory, if you'd be so kind.
Sure, yeah, I think not only does Gastelum deserve that line, Vitor deserves his line as well. In terms of his recent output, it's, the old dinosaur, the prehistoric rookie, whatever he's calling himself, Victory Belfort, doesn't have much to offer if someone mounts him, and everybody's mounting him. And he'll sling, some 1-2. He'll chain gun some 1-2s in the first 2 minutes or so. But, I mean, Gastelum will have no problem taking him down, I don't think, let alone beating him with a punch on the feet for the most part. He'll put a lot of kicks out there, too. Gastelum's ability to move opponents around the cage with his kicks, I think, is an underrated part of his game. I think if Belfort doesn't mind that carefully, he's gonna be eating more feet than he has since he was on Big Brother Brazil or whatever that was years ago.
Wow, that was good.
You know how long I've been working on that, Kenny? I mean, at least 3 hours.
That was very good, my friend. Well done.
In +2, Gastelum, very gifted in particular at following up with submission attempts off knockdowns. I think that's one of those real MMA IQ things that Gastelum had from day one that puts him, it makes him very dangerous. So I think just for sake of variety and trying to put myself in a favorable position in terms of winning all the criteria, I'm going to pick a first-round submission as opposed to a first-round knockout, though certainly that's been the recent chosen method of defeat for Vitor Belfort, because I want to mix it up a bit, and I just love Gastelum's ability to catch submissions when it looks like he's just hunting for a ground-and-pound finish or a stand-up finish, and he just suddenly locks something on. So I see a submission in the first round for Gastelum.
Interesting. I'm really starting to think that Kelvin Gastelum is going to be a UFC world champion. I don't know if he's going to do it at welterweight. I don't know if he's going to do it as an undersized middleweight. But I've been blown away by his evolution dating to the Ultimate Fighter, and obviously getting a main event showcase here. Ken Flo, he's about a 4-1 favorite. Gastelum Belfort, which way you going? We'll also need the method of victory, sir.
But Gastelum is a definite gamer, man, and I've been very impressed with him at middleweight and welterweight. I think that his pressure style might get him in trouble against someone like Vitor Belfort, who has turned into quite a good counter striker, especially early on, as you mentioned, John. And, I think that left hand and that left kick is still very dangerous for the first 5 minutes. I think that Kelvin, though, will grind him down as he does. And that's just how you fight Vitor Belfort. You got to grind him down. You got to get him tired, get him to work, take his confidence away, and then beat him up later. And Vitor just hasn't been able to deal with that kind of pressure. I hate to call him a bully fighter, but he's kind of a bully fighter. When things don't go his way, he kind of folds. And I think Gastelum is going to be able to do that. I don't think he does it in the first round. I think he pulls it off in the second round and gets a TKO.